Why is my neighbor's property tax 2 times less than mine?
Assessed value and market value. So when you go look at your property, right, on the property appraiser, it has an assessed value and a market value. And one of them is used to determine your tax value, and the other one is supposed to be the value of your home. But it's always seems to be low, and I don't understand this. So we're going to ask AJ about this, and then when we get Dorothy Jackson, property appraiser, on, we're going to ask her the same question and see what the differences are from the two perspectives.
Uh-oh.
So anyway, tell us about market value and assessed value, AJ, if you can.
All right. Well, first of all, to address the thing about the values being a bit lower, my understanding, and obviously Dorothy Jackson is the premier source to rely on for this information. My understanding is that they aim to be low, somewhere around 16 to 18%-ish. And the reason is you can petition if you don't like your taxes. If you don't like the market value that they have on there, well, so 50,000 people would be petitioning. And by making it that far off, you really usually don't have any ground to stand on.
Did you know that?
No.
I didn't know that.
So the market value, so they aim a little bit low. So we'll take my townhome. And we'll go back to the point that my neighbor's taxes are more than double mine. Now, we both have the identical floor plan on paper. It's a little different, but same square footage, same everything. So we are both showing a market value of 375,000. But my assessed value comes from long ago, that $140,000 assessed value that I fought for, market value back then, when I bought it, that they could only go up 3% a year on my assessed value.
Because of your homesteading.
Because of my homestead. Now, my neighbor, on the other hand, that house was the townhome that's identical. It's showing a 365 market value, so 10,000 less than me for some reason. But their assessed value is $365,000 because they just bought it. So they're saying, okay, here's your time to put your stake in the ground. And so now it'll only go up 3% a year. But that cumulative effect, that's why my taxes are half. It's just that to save our homes, my stake in the ground started 15 years earlier than him, and I paid a third of what he did. I'm over my 170 that they started me at, that they admitted was too high, based on. But you got to remember, when it comes to these values, like I was at a house last month, and it's an inheritance, so it hasn't changed hands in decades. Well, they had that property. I don't remember the real number, but let's just say they had it at 410,000. I ended up appraising it actually under that at like 405. But the reason is it had a whole bunch of condition issues. It looked original 1970s. Nothing had been done to it. The pool had some significant damage. There was problems. So it was actually worth a little less because the county assumes that you're within a range of updating and condition, even if you haven't pulled permits or sold it. So there are instances where your assessed value could be too high, but it's pretty rare.
And the one thing I'm afraid is when I was reading that and thinking about it in real life, imagine going to the assessor and say, hey, my house is a piece of junk and it isn't worth what you're saying it's worth. And if you had any violations or anything, that would be the perfect time for the city or the county to come in and say, hey, put that roof on, cut your lawn, whatever, take the jalopies out of your yard.
Yeah, but I'll tell you that I've had one that I fought that I helped one of my friends fight that I won. And it's all statistics, they pulled, there was this tiny little house and it was on the mainland, but close to Manalapan. And there's a bunch of old homes in there, 1940s. This thing was like 400, 500 under air, tiny. They had it taxed at the same price per square foot. They had the value as the mansion built for the Duchess of Marlborough on Manalapan. And I brought that up. I said, here, you've got this property assessed at this much per square foot. You've got my property assessed at the same price. You've got to be kidding. Right. And that was like the nail in the coffin.
They changed it, right?
They did. They did.
Yeah. How much money did that guy save?
I don't remember. I don't
I mean,
remember. It
tens of
was
thousands, probably.
it
You know
was
what I mean?
it was just for me, it was the point of it. But the thing is,
Yeah.
for the average person to pay for that, that place was only worth maybe 150 grand. I don't remember the number. But realistically, I would have had to charge maybe $1,500 for the work I did
Mhm.
if it wasn't a friend of mine. And that's just not practical for
Right.
most people.